Hey everyone, let's try something new this time around, and I'm gonna show you a new app. Well, I had this app for a while, I just didn't want to make a video on it until I had a bit of a better grasp on it. I still don't know everything really with it, but I can start working with it. And I have a furniture piece that I want to work out, so let's jump straight into it. So I am talking about Artstudio Pro. And here we have the furniture. This is not going to be an app review, so I'm not going to go through what you can do, how and where. I'm just going to work and maybe explain the steps that I'm doing here and there. So I like this because it's very much like Photoshop. It has a lot of the functionalities like Photoshop does, and it's also design-wise and setup-wise, it's much closer to Photoshop than Procreate or any other app on the iPad. So I just use the lasso tool. I'm going to 4-tap, copy this. I'm going to create a new layer. I don't need this anymore, and I'm going to deselect the lasso tool, 4-tap, and paste. So the bottom layer, the layer below, well actually it did it on a new layer, so I didn't need to create a new layer. That was silly of me. Actually, let me drag this over. So the fun thing, these are also pop out, so if you like them out, you can leave them there. So it's very, as I said, very much like Photoshop, but I like to have my area empty. I'm going to do now is edit, transform. I'm just going to blow this up, even though I wanted to do a sketch from a different angle. So I say okay, and you can go away, and I'm just going to do a sketch from a different angle as well. I do have a sketching pencil, good. A double tap works like with every other app. And let's do some sketching. Also the double tap on the pencil, you can do the tap tap to switch between eraser and tap tap back to have your brush again. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to find a good angle to communicate this little drawing or idea of mine. Well, technically it's not a drawing, it's a design for an outdoor bench, sort of a coffee table bench combination, and I was trying to keep it a little bit asymmetrical. And that's why the idea that somebody would be sitting here on this side, this is one seating area, and the other person, the other person would be sitting on this side, and they would be like at 90 degrees looking at each other.
I am going to speed up the drawing process quite a bit here because I'm more interested in showing you guys how I use this new app, which is relatively new to me, probably new to some of you guys as well. And it's more about the design process as well, like what I want to show and how I explore shapes for these benches. And you already saw, you can go back and see enough videos where how I do my sketches and how I do my line work. So there's going to be a lot of like bigger cuts and bigger jumps to more final versions of the drawings.
So halfway through here, I decided to switch back to the, what is this, fine liner brush, is what I used for this visual here. Just because I set up this, I think it's a B2 pencil, but I don't quite like it. So I'm still trying to adjust the brushes to get something that I really like, but this is not it just yet. So I'll have to play around with that a bit more. But I do enjoy this fine liner brush just because it feels natural to how I usually draw on paper, having a fine liner. Yeah, and the difference obviously being that I can also erase here.
And that's actually also what I like about trying out new apps like this, because developers approach brushes in different ways, and I actually like finding new brushes like that. I'm not really the guy who likes to create his own brushes. I do tweak them a little bit so they serve my purpose a bit better, but I like seeing what sort of new brushes there are, and there are quite a couple of interesting ones in Artstudio Pro.
All right, so we are sort of done with sketching. This is how far I got, and as you could see me, I'm still looking around for things to find. I think I'm going to choose for this option right here because I sort of like this one. This I will keep in the background just to show from a different angle, and maybe, just maybe, I should draw it from this point of view as well. So let me see if I can do that quickly. I do think I'm going to go with this one. I like this one the most. And then I'm going to show these two as well, just so we have different angles in the final visual. So what I am doing here is, of course, most of this is wood. And I am having like this that goes all the way around it. As you can see, this is going to be, well, metal. And that rusted, like rusty metal. Here's a picture of it. So let's start the coloring. So what I do, well, it's not coloring yet. Let's be fair. I am going to copy this and I'm going to blow it up. So actually I have my glove on here, so I can't really, when I click, it only takes these two and it counts as a step back, undo. So I'm going to copy this. Oh no, I forgot to merge down, didn't I? Yeah. So now I am going to copy and I'm just going to paste. We can turn this layer off and I can go to edit, transform, and make this quite a bit bigger. And we can always scale down later on. So I will say fine, I'm good with that. Deselect, go to my brush, bring the opacity down on this one, which is here, something like that. And I'm just going to create a new layer on top of it. This is going to be our lines. Enter. Okay, let's put this one away. And now I'm just going to very nicely and carefully try and draw this in.
So something that's still worth mentioning here is that you can pair a keyboard with the iPad and you can bind a whole bunch of shortcut keys to them. So basically that's why I keep on comparing it. You will hear it later as well. I keep comparing it to Photoshop, is that you can really set up all those shortcuts. So no, it's not maybe as intuitive for the touch interface as a Procreate is, but if you come from a Photoshop environment, I feel like this might be something that works much better for you.
Okay, in the meantime, I forgot to mention that I put all my lines into this line folder, so I can I will add probably some more lines, but I just wanted to make sure that if I want to change things, I can. And now I started creating the flats or basic colors that I will color in. I will have mostly three. So the bottom wood, well, actually more. Bottom wood, this metallic round thing, and then the wood seatings in there, and then probably the earth there as well. And I do that as I always do with the selection tool. So I go for the lasso tool. And I just start clickety click click and having a little bit of fun here. And I want to make sure that these have a slightly different brown, so I'm going to go quite a bit lighter. Like that, and I will probably come in with more desaturated colors because that comes from wear and tear. At least that's how I imagine it. So as always, I lock the pixels, and that means that if I take like a painting brush now, let me go to Basics, yeah, this is where we have hard dry, there we go. So I take this color and I'll go a little bit darker. If I, oh, lock pixels is that, so then I want lock transparency, right? Yes, that's what I want. I thought it means something else. Let me see. Yeah, so exactly. So here it's called lock transparency. So I make my brush quite a bit bigger, and I know that this, I won't be able to paint outside of it, which is actually quite nice.
Since I want to use photo textures later on, I'm only going to pay attention to mostly the shadow area. So I'm not really painting in any of the wood. I'm painting in the shadow areas with appropriate colors for the wood. So I'm not going to go with blacks, but I'm going to color pick the local color and apply a darker version for the shadows. And then we're going to lay over those photo textures right after this step.
Alright, so I think I'm gonna stop with rendering here and just look up wood texture. Let's see what we find. Images. So technically I don't need the color from the wood texture. I want something, this is nice but a bit too rough, but I could try it. Long tab, right? No? Yeah? Not long tab, I guess view file, long tab. No, that's not how it works. Yeah, I always forget how just to copy how Apple stuff works. So for paste, okay, and let's come down here. Okay. So the thing is that we have, yeah, it's okay. Transform, edit, transform. I'm gonna select this one so I can easily free transform and move all these thingamajigs. I'm gonna pull this a little bit more in this direction. Let's see how this looks. Feel like, so as I always say, you have to try and get the perspective right for it to work. So I feel like here, something like that. Okay, let's say, what is this? Ah, that's cool. Yeah, not useful in this case, but okay. So what I can do, let me turn this off. What was this? I'm gonna take away the lines. You know what I'm gonna apply? I'm gonna merge this down because I think it's fine. And then I'm gonna make this a clipping mask, and I'm going to turn this into blending. There we go. Not multiply, but overlay. Oh, I like that it takes that woody color with it. Okay, and I am going to mask this area off, just because I don't need it. Well, that's what I would do in Photoshop. Let's see if we can apply a mask here. Mask. That's what is this? It's not what I thought it would do. So because it's already a clipping mask, I can't apply a mask to it, I guess. What's off? Clipping mask, okay. Well, I guess I'll just erase this then. I'll do a clear. There we go. And then we just do paste again. And then I have to repeat this move a couple of times.
And once I am done with all the wooden texture, I make sure to put all of it nicely collected into one folder. So if I need to apply a mask or move them together, it's going to be much easier if they are in one folder. And then I go on and apply the metal texture as well to my metal bar. And here I make sure, well, not that I make sure, but I always like to make sure that my textures are within perspective, so I skew them. And here I only skew it to the third perspective point, which is technically in this case below us, because the texture is quite small and I didn't want to put that much effort into it, to be honest. And one thing that is, again, close to Photoshop here, which is easier for me, is that you can quickly throw adjustment mask on it, which in this case I wanted to desaturate it a little bit because it was just too harsh in colors. And once I'm done with all the texturing, I make sure to paint in the bushes, well, the two small trees. And here I didn't want to take photo texture because just it's harder to clean it up, and it's nice to have some more hand-painted elements in the visual.
Well, that's it for a little experiment with Artstudio Pro. I hope you like this. I feel like I learned a little bit more about Artstudio Pro and I feel more comfortable using it. It's just above 10 euros, if I remember correctly, so you decide if it's worth it for you between this or Procreate. Yeah, Procreate has the better touch surface interface, but this one is quite a bit more like Photoshop, so it has a lot more functions, at least it feels to me. So you decide if it's worth it for you or not. Either way, I do hope you like this video. You can click that like button and you can subscribe if you want to see more. You can also click the dislike button if you didn't like it, and leave me a comment. I'm always curious what you think, if you learned anything, if this was helpful or not, and if you're going to make your own benches and furniture now. Anyways, as always, most important is that you folks have a great time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.